Welcome to Illuminati Silver. We tell you the truth about silver. Today is Friday the 16th of July 2021 and we're asking the question, with the advent of China launching a digital yuan and now the European Central Bank, Bank of England and the Fed talking about increasing their research into their own digital currencies, and the fact that premium investors are currently allocating to digital banks and fintech companies literally hundreds of millions of dollars, we asked, does this mark the end of physical fiat currencies as we know it? Let's take a look. For a significant number of years, many YouTubers and so-called investment analysts have called the imminent demise of the US dollar. Gold and silver pumpers in particular have been prophesying the end of the US dollar and the imminent collapse of the global economic system way back into the 1990s and a number even before that. Even today, the same old financial gurus, yes, they're old now because they've been peddling this stuff for decades, are coming out with the same Armageddon predictions. In many cases hoping you will sell all of your stocks and investments and currencies and pump them into either gold, silver or, more recently, cryptos. Now we all know that fiat currency systems have a finite life. We understand that. But what no one can truly predict with any real degree of accuracy, especially when the global economy is so large and integrated and interreliant, when an individual currency is on the precipice. It's even more difficult to forecast when that currency is the world's reserve currency, i.e. the US dollar. There have been and will continue to be many challenges to its global dominance. But what intrigues us for now, and we've stated this since the channel began, that the dollar will still be around and dominating well into the 2020s and 2030s and quite likely beyond. That said, its format will change. We shall all move to a digital currency where paper fiat will eventually disappear. Now you won't wake up one morning and all of a sudden we have instantly become digitized. It will be a gradual process and frankly one which we shall all see coming. Eventually in time, these will then all merge into one, and we shall have one global digital currency. But again, that's not going to be an overnight economic reset that Prince Charles and the Illuminati have had secret meetings about to be launched in the next year or two. Don't listen to that twaddle, because these people are selling you such nonsense by creating clickbait and FUD, fear, uncertainty and doubt, in order to flog you something, which will cost you the very fiat that they are going to declare will become redundant. Now we've been at the very heart of all of the major global financial institutions. And let us tell you that firstly, they don't work that quickly. And secondly, any such move will take years, if not decades, to introduce, if only because of systems integration and also a lack of political will. For example, the UK pulling out of the European Union and never signing up to the euro in the first place should at least give you some indication that there is no political appetite for one global economic system and policy and single currency. It will evolve in time, but probably after we are long gone. What is fascinating though is the move towards digitization. And we're going to share the contents of a video we published yesterday concerning the ECB, the European Central Bank, and the prospect of a digital euro. Let's take a look at that now. An excellent article published today, in fact, by Sharecast. What does China's digital yuan mean for Bitcoin? Now the focus of this is not really on Bitcoin, it's more on the digital yuan. And I know that many people will be thinking, what the devil is a digital yuan? Let's just read a little of this. Just when you thought the war between hard currencies and digital currencies like Bitcoin couldn't get any more interesting, China released its digital yuan. Although China is not going to replace its fiat currency with the digital yuan completely, it's too soon to tell, as trials are still going on with central banks, like the People's Bank of China leading the operation. So what is the digital yuan? Officially known as a digital currency electronic payment, or DCEP, China wants to replace its fiat currency with the digital one to encourage cashless transactions, ushering in a new era for world economics. Like Bitcoin, it also relies on blockchain technology to facilitate and verify transactions, but unlike Bitcoin, it is centrally controlled by regulatory authorities and backed up by fiat currency reserves. Now, it's quite interesting that China has come out with this digital yuan, which it has been using in a trial phase for some months. In fact, the last report I saw was back in March of this year. And now all of a sudden, it's kicked out all of the Bitcoin miners from China, or is in the process of doing so, and trying to prevent the use of Bitcoin in China because it wants the supremacy of the digital yuan, because after all, the government can control it. So why are we raising this today? As I say, I'm not really going to go into the Bitcoin area because the purpose of this is a digital currency. Well, if we take a look at Bloomberg yesterday, look at this. ECB starts next digital euro stage with investigation phase. What's this all about? The European Central Bank took a major step toward a digital euro on Wednesday, approving an investigation phase that could ultimately lead to a virtual currency being implemented around the middle of the decade. Now, I don't know if our long-term listeners will remember, but about 2 years ago, there was much made of a digital currency suddenly appearing overnight. And we said, no, that's not going to happen. You will not see a digital dollar, certainly, or major digital currency until the middle of the 2020s, towards the end of the 2020s. China has beaten us to that because we're only in 2021. Whether it will implement it fully by 2025 remains to be seen, but it is a control economy and therefore it is easier for the Chinese government to enforce it on its people than for the American government to do so. Having said that, we can see in Europe, which is made up of a number of nation states, are also looking to actually implement a digital currency. And they're quoting the middle of the decade, which really fits in with what we've said for years. The next stage will last 24 months and aims to address key issues on design and distribution, the ECB said in a statement. It also said the decision will not prejudge any future decision on the possible issuance of a digital euro, which will come only later. In any event, a digital euro would complement cash, not replace it. And that, frankly, is our view and always has been our view. Having said that, the one thing that the coronavirus pandemic has brought home to all of us has been the fact that we can cope with digital money to a large extent because we're buying more and more online. We were ordering our shopping to be delivered to our home and paying for it online. And ask yourself, when did you last use physical currency? Let's carry on with the article. Executive Board member Fabio Panetta said the next phase would be implementation, which would take about 3 years. President Christine Lagarde has been enthusiastic about a central bank digital currency, and the European Central Bank has warned that failing to implement one could undermine the bloc's monetary autonomy as payment providers such as foreign technology giants gain ground. So they're clearly worried about China and what they're doing, as well as other countries, not even forgetting to mention cryptocurrencies. If the European Central Bank eventually adopts a virtual currency, it'll likely follow in the footsteps of China, where trials have started in several cities. Eastern Caribbean islands that share central bank, including Grenada and St. Kitts and Nevis, have already launched their own versions. The US Federal Reserve and Bank of England are also looking into the possibilities for their economies. And again, listeners to this channel may remember that we reported that Fed Chair Jerome Powell stated a couple of months ago that the Fed were going to give the concept of a digital currency a degree of priority in terms of their investigations. We were bankers, and we can tell you these things are not created overnight. There are far more complications than most people can imagine. That's even without persuading people to accept them in the first place. But they're seeing what's happening in the crypto world. Central banks are worried. They like the technology. They just don't like the loss of potential control. And so, we're on the cusp. This decade will see, without doubt, the introduction of digital currencies. We are virtually there now. When you think about it, most payments made now are done online. We're using a digital currency. Most credit now created in the world is created digitally. So, as we can see, the European Central Bank are highlighting their plans. The Fed has highlighted its plan. The Bank of England has highlighted theirs. They are in no rush for a digital currency of their own, though in practice, as mentioned, we're already to some degree performing that task. Its introduction is inevitable. However, it will only in reality be adopted as quickly as you, the consumer, is willing to accept it. And in any case, they have a number of systems integrations to perform first. And for those in favor of blockchain and smart contracts, whilst these already exist, they are currently far from perfect, far from economic and governmental control, and far from being guaranteed to be hacked. That said, our existing system suffers the same dilemmas. That's it for now. What are your thoughts? Are we going to end currencies pretty shortly? Or certainly physical currencies? Do you agree with us that there's not going to be an automatic reset overnight with one global digital currency? Or do you disagree? Do share your thoughts. We'll be interested to read them. Meanwhile, we hope and trust you'll give this video a thumbs up, and if you haven't done so, subscribe and press the bell sign so you're notified of our videos as and when they are published. Have a great remainder to your Friday. Disclaimer. Illuminati silver owners come from a background of banking, international wealth management and economics. Having now retired from these worlds, we are not qualified to give investment advice. Therefore, this and other productions must not be deemed to be giving such advice and merely represent the personal views of its owners.